Story 1. I would have liked to care less. Overthinking and caring too much broke me in my early 20s, and eventually, it truly turned out most of that did not even matter. Story 2. I'm turning 20 in 2 months. What I took from everyone here is that no matter what, there will always be at least one thing to regret. Instead of overthinking it, I'll just do my best at whatever I decide to do. Story 3. Fewer drugs and alcohol and sought out medication before my self-medication got out of control. I wouldn't take back some of the cocaine and ecstasy nights because those were awesome, but I definitely would have kept my alcohol under control. I'm 44, and I've been sober for 9 years. Things never got too out of hand, but I spent a lot of time feeling sick, tired, and strapped for money when I didn't need to be. It all worked out. Story 4. Save more. It's surprising to see where my peers are compared to myself, even though we weren't earning drastically different salaries in our 20s. Take better care of my health and teeth. Many problems arise in your 30s. I'm fortunate compared to some, but I still wish I had maintained myself better. Not spend so much time pursuing serious relationships over focusing on self-development and casual dating. It really haunts me in my 30s to realize I spent most of my 20s with people I thought I might marry, who I don't even talk to anymore. Good relationship practice, of course, but overall just a huge waste of time, energy, and income. Story 5. Actually, invest in the stocks I intended to, avoid all the extra money spent on fast food, and not move out until I get kicked out for the sake of saving money. Probably would have retired at 30 or 35. Story 6. Take more risks, go out more. I worked my 9 to 5 and went straight home. Now I have no friends, and I recently moved to a new country, and I'm realizing I missed a lot. Story 7. Regret wasting 2 years addicted to cocaine in my early 20s, avoiding family that whole time. Then my dad passed away right after I got clean. I still cannot forgive myself. Story 8. Get over my shyness and ask more girls out. There were many that I would have loved to have by my side, but I did not take the shot, so quite obviously those shots were missed. Story 9. Make mental and physical health a priority to serve as a foundation for the rest of my life. Then I would hang out with family and friends as much as possible. The more you hang out and experience life with them now, the more likely they are to remain a part of your life well past your 20s. Story 10. That's a tough one. I gave up a lucrative career I wasn't enjoying for a less lucrative one that I did enjoy most of the time. Sometimes I think I should have been more patient with my career as an engineer. Story 11. I wouldn't go out so much and focus more on school. I got super distracted with partying, meeting people, and I guess was more driven outward for validation and being cool. At the time, I thought that social connections would benefit me more long-term than studies would. I guess in some part, I did develop a lot of social skills over that period of time that still benefit me now. But I think I would have preferred to buckle down more. But then again, if I didn't get it all out of my system, maybe it would affect me later. Who knows? Story 12. Probably get into artificial intelligence projects and get some cozy corporate job as a developer or something. Or make social media accounts riding on various trend waves before they get oversaturated. But most importantly, spend more time with my dog, because now I know how little time I actually had with her. Story 13. Being more organized early in life is better than waking up and realizing that no one trusts you with anything because you messed everything up by not being organized and doing things in moderation. No matter if you are now able to live somewhat organized and with moderation, they will still judge you based on their perspective and opinion of you. Story 14. Drink about half as much. Work out instead of smoking marijuana. Be more open to women interested in me, instead of stubbornly only looking for the perfect match. Buy a home and rent it out until now, when I need one, because it's far more unattainable now than it was then. Invest my money instead of spending it on foolish things. Basically, if I had the brain I do now 20 years ago, I'd be better off than I am now. I wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger. Story 15. I'd go back to being 22, say no to my ex, and do everything I could to save my late friend. I'd bend over backwards to convince him that life is worth living. Story 16. Probably accept the offer to become an electrician apprentice instead of going to college. Paid $50,000 to get a degree, and my job pays significantly less than I could be making as an electrician. Also, save and invest more instead of blowing the money on frivolous stuff. Story 17. Change career. Didn't know at the time, but working in homeless services, youth work, counseling, prisons, and mental health was an absolute dead end. It just burns people out, and psychopaths are running these organizations the same as any other. Glass ceilings abound, and the only way to be senior is to come in from an external, usually government, organization. I may as well have put my talents to earn more money, as trying to be a positive force in society has been a waste of time if I'm honest. Had I just gone for something else, I'd probably be donating some money from my salary to charity and be happy in my ignorance about how all these things actually work. Story 18. Quit smoking, put the $3,000 to $5,000 a year into something much more valuable to me. I quit cold turkey in 2021 and the extra funds have been nice, and take more chances in life in general. Story 19. I would learn proper financial planning and work on addressing my mental health issues. I would also learn proper study habits so that I could excel in my classes. I would also try to get into investing as a concept earlier. I would find a stable job. Story 20. Become an absolute expert in something moderately useful and tolerable in terms of enjoyment. People will either pay you well or regard you well because you know your skills. No matter what else you do or come to love, you have an income or at least respect. That will always cure the baseline level of depression. Story 21. Travel with my first two dogs more camping, more road trips, more driving to the middle of anywhere else just to go with them. I miss them deeply. Less marijuana, more dogs. Story 22. Taken a gap year during the pandemic. I was already burning out during college, and the pandemic completely flipped my study habits on its head. I should have used the offer to defer a year during undergraduate to reset, but I told myself, it's just one more year, get it over with. I passed in the end, but I think if I had just given myself that year off, I would have done better and been better for it in the end. Story 23. My early 20s were so much fun, but also dangerous and involved a lot of illegal activities. I want to feel the thrill of life like I used to. If anything, I guess I would go to therapy more often and talk to my psychiatrist about the medications I was on. Maybe I will take on skydiving or something that gets my adrenaline pumping. Story 24. Not there yet, but I plan on working on my current 3D skills, since I know I either go into that or have my job stolen by half-baked Sora and its six-fingered, glossy-eyed generations of anime girls. Story 25. If I could, I would really have liked to know more about my finances in my early 20s, rather than living paycheck to paycheck and being just a giant mess regarding my money. I would probably not hang out with half the people that I did. Story 26. Wish I pulled myself together sooner than I did with my addiction and complicated family dynamic. Wish I had known I deserved more than to be a penitent just to keep my collapsing family together. That blood isn't actually thicker than water, and you're in control of relationships not bound by blood. There's probably a whole list of things I could add, but those are the ones that come to mind immediately. Story 27. Immediately dump my insecure narcissistic boyfriend, focus on studies, have more platonic friends, and more adventures. Should have done that master's degree before starting work. Life happens. Story 28. Focus more on personal growth instead of partying and being popular. Go to the gym every day, meditate, and get into therapy or counseling. Now that I'm older and wiser, I regret not handling these things years ago. Story 29. Not marry my ex and have children with him. Focus on my career early so I could pursue the travel nursing opportunity when it became lucrative. Go on many tropical vacations and truly experience life. Story 30. Work out intensely. Recovery and getting fit are much harder when you're older, and forming a base when young can still help a lot when you're older and out of shape. Go to the dentist at least twice a year as well. Also, date more. Story 31. Learning how to work out. I would say eating healthy, but part of being in your 20s is being messy. If I had started spending time learning what I like doing to work out, it would have been a solid foundation for today. Also, caring less about what others think and going for things more. Story 32. About the same stuff. I would not change a thing except travel to more countries And do not buy flats. Choose a wife who will see you as a priority. Leave a job that does not respect your hard work. Quit advising people what to do until they destroy their life. Have more sex, learn life-changing skills, go to the gym, and maintain a healthy diet. Play basketball more and do fishing. Story 33. Gender transition, abandon the idea of freelancing and find a stable permanent job. Potentially get set up in another country instead of where I am now. Possibly take a diploma course in some kind of business management or finance field. Or a different part of the field I'm in currently. Basically, use the time better to achieve things I'm working toward now, but earlier so I can have more free time and flexibility as an adult. Story 34. Make better use of my time instead of moping around about how times are hard. If I only knew how much harder it can get, and also understood that the worst I could experience is still not the worst situation in the world. Story 35. Grow a pair and play the guitar professionally and sign up for an audio and video engineering module instead of going to a management course and working in project management. Story 36. Not be so cringy, immature, and overdramatic. My husband, bless him, put up with way too much immaturity in me. To be fair, he had and has his own shortcomings. We got married when I was 20. He was 22. Still married after 34 years. And yes, I am still overdramatic at times, and he is still obsessive-compulsive and nitpicky about certain things. But we now know what our shortcomings are and give each other space when things get a bit heated. The one thing I do not regret is getting married when I did. In fact, I regret not running away and eloping with him earlier in the summer of the year we met. He begged me to, but I was too afraid of my parents being mad at me and what others thought. Instead, we got married respectably in our church in December. Getting married earlier would not have made anything better or worse and would have been a terrific story to tell our kids. That is honestly my biggest regret. Story 37. If I knew I would end up with epilepsy in my mid-20s either way, I would have gone to a job as soon as possible rather than bothered with a bachelor's degree. I might still get a degree, but through a junior college only or through employer benefits. Story 38. Easy, not getting with my ex of 17 years. He was hands down the worst mistake of my life. I met him at 20, almost 21, and then proceeded to let him take everything from me before I finally had enough and walked out with less than I brought into the relationship. Story 39. Travel solo as a single person more, and not waste money on going out or on nice, tangible items. I really do regret not traveling more as a young single person. Story 40. Make a better effort to keep in touch with friends. Exercise more and strengthen my back. Don't dismiss Bitcoin and make a decision about the mining rig I've debated on for months. Story 41. Tell the Navy that no, I don't want to do a photo opportunity and then go complain at the aviation survival equipment man who would have packed my parachute. I'd like my 4 discs to not be fused. Thanks. Other than that, my 20s were really great. Story 42. Everything, and I'm not even kidding. More bad choices were made during that time frame than any other, for whatever reason, and I've spent the last 20 years undoing them. Story 43. I am 21, working hard on my credit score. It is currently around 800. Still living with my parents to save money and pay off my truck loan fast. It is a 2023 Lightning Platinum for $53,000. I just need to figure out what to do next, maybe buy a house through a government program. I am thinking about waiting for the inflation bubble to burst first, so I do not struggle as much with the mortgage payments. Story 44. Not move to George W. Bush's America, and instead must make a landline call to my future husband and tell him how good it really is in my home country by comparison to 2024 USA, and invite him over. Story 45. I would commit to something earlier. It barely matters what you commit to, just commit. I had started college for a computer science degree, decided I didn't want to do that. Then I tried community college to get credits out of the way but didn't finish that. Worked dead-end jobs for a couple of years, joined the Air Force for cybersecurity, and now 10 years later am where I probably would have been had I just finished the first degree. To young men, as it's been my experience that young men struggle immensely with this commit to something. Anything, just see it through to the end, unless you feel like something is a danger to your mental or physical health. College, trade school, training program, whatever. Just commit. Story 46. If I were transported to my 20s when I was actually 20 to 29, the primary change would be to buy large amounts of cryptocurrency. I would continue my career as normal, sell when I hit my 30s, retire, and reinvest everything into growth, index, or mutual funds. I would live off the dividends and interest for the rest of my life and go into teaching, my true passion. If I were in my 20s in 2025, I would go into information technology, network management, or data analytics earlier, and learn programming for a longer career that is somewhat buffered from artificial intelligence. Story 47. I would have stayed in Pittsburgh that one extra day and not rushed home after graduation. Instead, I came home that one day early and met the person who proceeded to do everything in her power to ruin my life for the next 15 years. Story 48. Get my anxiety dealt with, get my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder on the radar, and make necessary adjustments. Learn basic financial literacy and investing. Start putting any money into savings. Anxiety really shapes the course of your life by influencing each decision.